Thank you, Anne. And hi, everyone. It's really great to be here today, joining from London.
Sorry,
I've been
Jonathan, we
with
can't hear
John
you.
for 4 years now, and for the past 2.5 years, I've been really helping the development and rollout of our routes.
If you give the mic back to me.
I want to spend a few minutes now, as part of this 5 days or so, explaining the context for the event and its focus on sustainability. So the starting point is to say that sustainability really is a key priority for the Jardines Group, and we're putting it at the heart of how we've been developing this couple of years. And the focus of that strategy is to maximise the positive impact we can make in all our markets, whilst also operating our businesses in the most sustainable way we can. We see sustainability as a key part of how we build long-term success, and there are obviously a whole range of different motivations for why businesses such as ours do try and push forward the sustainability agenda, and that includes the desire to do the right thing, managing risk, addressing demands from our stakeholders, but above all, we see the opportunity to leverage the scale of our very large group to really make a positive impact in all the communities we serve. So turning to the sustainability strategy that I mentioned, on the slide that I hope you can see, there is a wheel on the right-hand side there, which summarises the three key pillars of our strategy, and they are leading climate action, shaping social inclusion, and driving responsible consumption. This slide also sets out 7 areas in the white boxes there that we're going to focus on in this hackathon, and as participants, you'll be addressing a number of challenge statements over the coming few days, all of which are aligned with our wider strategy. So I'll spend a few minutes now just talking through those 3 pillars. And the first 4 boxes on this slide really do align well with the first of those strategy priorities, which is leading climate action. We want to reduce the carbon footprint of all our businesses, and particularly those which are most reliant on fossil fuels. There are a lot of ways of doing this, including making our businesses more energy efficient, exploring renewable energy opportunities, and adopting new technologies. And as a group, we have a large number of businesses which are relevant to this challenge. And in particular, starting with our automotive businesses, we have companies and businesses in a whole range of markets in Hong Kong, in mainland China, across Southeast Asia, and in other parts of the world as well. And we're involved actually across the whole value chain in the automotive sector. So we're involved in manufacturing, distribution, and after sales. So as a group, we're looking for ways in which we can make all our auto businesses more green. And I'm really pleased, therefore, that 3 of the challenge statements that we're setting and that you'll be working on in the coming days are focused on this area, and in particular on reducing the carbon footprint of our automotive manufacturing, accelerating the transition to electric vehicles, and making use in our day-to-day operations to a much greater degree of clean technologies in order to build cars and motorcycles. There's a further challenge statement amongst the various challenge statements that you will have seen that looks more broadly at the opportunities for driving decarbonisation and reducing carbon emissions in our retail business, DFI, which has interests in a whole range of areas: food retail, health and beauty, home furnishings and restaurants, and it is operating across banners and markets across Asia. So many of these businesses, as you'd imagine, have a large carbon footprint, and we're keen to get your ideas over the next few days as to how we can reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. Looking now at Indonesia, we have a lot of businesses in Indonesia, if you know anything about our group, and a number of those are in sectors which generate a high carbon footprint. And it's fair to say, I think, that Indonesia as a whole also remains highly reliant on fossil fuels as an economy. So we're sponsoring several challenge statements that look at Indonesia, and we're looking at finding solutions to how we can really reduce the carbon footprint, both within our businesses and come up with ideas for how Indonesia as a whole might potentially also adopt renewable sources of energy and ways in which to increase its energy efficiency and reduce its carbon footprint. So these include looking at the possibility of using technology to monitor heavy equipment to enable fuel consumption to be reduced, looking at the ideas relating to the adoption of solar energy, and thinking about how we can develop new ways to develop renewable power within Indonesia, including through a microgrid. So lastly, in terms of climate change, I was just going to mention technology in a bit more detail. I think we see technology as a really key driver of improving energy efficiency. And whilst I think I would expect you as innovators to really be thinking about how we can use technology in all these challenge statements that I've mentioned, I think that there's one in particular that really is focused primarily on technology, and that's how we could automate our supplier and contractor due diligence process by using big data and big data analytics. So I'm really looking forward in particular to seeing the outputs on that challenge statement, as well as these other climate change related ones. Secondly, looking at driving responsible consumption, which is the second pillar of our strategy. This is focused both on looking at whether our supply chains are operating in a sustainable and transparent way, and also how we can minimize the waste which is generated through our operations. The proliferation of waste of all types, plastics, food, and other waste, is a huge problem for our societies, and one which we really need to address in each of the businesses where we operate, and each of the markets where we operate it. And we think in particular that it's essential to take steps to reduce the amount of food waste we generate in our restaurants and hotels. And we're looking in particular for great ideas as to how we could achieve that. And then the third pillar of our strategy is social inclusion. All of our businesses are focused on promoting change in relation to social inclusion. And we've chosen three particular areas as part of our strategy. And these are health, education, and livelihoods. And the challenge statements that we've set for this week are particularly focused on the last of those areas, livelihoods. We believe we can be a force for good in the communities where we have businesses, and we see social inclusion as a really effective way of building strong relationships with our customers, with our colleagues, and with other stakeholders. So in that context, our palm oil business in Indonesia has set a challenge statement which focuses on how we can build relationships and partnerships with our local communities in the context of improving supply chain traceability. And again, looking forward to your ideas in relation to that. So, conscious of time, I just want to finish by saying how excited I am about the next few days and the opportunity that we have to work with some of the brightest minds, both amongst startups and students. How excited we are that so many of you have signed up to really take a role in this discussion over the next few days and come up with some great ideas to explore some issues that really are fundamental to the future of our societies and to the planet more broadly. So I hope you'll find the next few days stimulating. I hope you'll find them exciting. I hope you'll find them rewarding. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what I'm sure will be some really amazing ideas coming out of the process towards the end of the week. So with that, I'll hand back to Anne, and thank you very much.
Wonderful. Jonathan, thank you so much for that introduction. That was fantastic. Just before I hand over to Janice, who's going to be the Master of Ceremonies, I'm curious whether there are questions. I know I think we do have some.
Hi, Anne. I'm just looking at the YouTube chat. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. We have one here. Is the hackathon the only way that we can collaborate with Jardines, Anne?
Thank you for the question. And we have many ways to collaborate. So Innovate Jardines, which is the group that I lead, we actually have an Innovate Futures group within that, which is constantly focused on looking at next generation technologies, next generation startups, who's coming out and who can help to resolve some of the challenges that we see in the market. So we have a whole group of people who are out there, ready, willing, and able to have conversations as we go through the year. Always. So that's institutionalized in us. We are active in the market. We're very happy for you guys to come and chat with us and to talk to us about what you can do. We also are approached by our businesses on a regular basis with very specific areas that they need collaborators with. We have a focus on really looking for companies that are operating from a digital perspective, but actually in our spaces, and so that we can actually join forces together. You're going to hear from a couple of them as we go through next week. I think on the panel that we run on Monday afternoon, I will be actually interviewing some people who have collaborated with us quite effectively in the last couple of years. So there are many ways to get in contact with us. You can reach out to us through LinkedIn. And as I said, our innovation is a constant activity. It's not a one and done. But we love Hack.Asia because Hack.Asia is something where we can reach out to a very broad audience and get to know you guys. So we're looking forward to this week for that.
Thanks, Anne. And we have one more question from Renee. She wants to know, how are the challenge statements, how are they created?
Yeah, so they were created, as I said, through a design thinking process all the way back in October. We got people in a room. We said we have our 3 areas of sustainability that we're focused on. And for each company, we asked them, okay, if they're the areas you're focused on and these are the businesses you're running, let's walk through a design thinking process to really think about the areas we could innovate and make a huge difference together. So it was a very structured design thinking, innovation-based process, which came up with hundreds of ideas. And from the hundreds of ideas, we brought them down and curated them really into the challenge statements that you see today.
Just to add to what Anne said, we also were keen to make sure that each of the challenge statements really is aligned with our broader sustainability strategy and with the sustainability priorities of each of our businesses.
Absolutely. Great. I think with that, we have to move on because we have a packed agenda today. So I'm going to hand over to our fearless MC here, Janice, for the rest of the agenda. Thank you very much.